You're calling me a freak?
No, I'm calling you a product of Baboon Lovin'. It's a distinction.
Hello to all the classic people that are returning. I'm glad you're back. I want to welcome any new visitors. As a technical note, references and citations are listed for each show on the site at classicmovierev.com. Today on Classic Movie Rev, we are taking on Home for the Holidays, 1995. I loved this movie when I first saw it almost a quarter of a century ago. It has a pretty low 6.6 rating on imdb.com. It doesn't fare any better on RottenTomatoes.com, with 63% on the tomato meter and only 72% audience approval. New York Times film critic Janet Maslin said in a November 3, 1995 review, quote, "With enough wisdom, this could be funny and poignant. With too much nuttiness, it's National Lampoon's Thanksgiving. The spirited but uneven Home for the Holidays winds up somewhere in between. Ms. Foster and the screenwriter W.D. Richter have given this film some peculiar mood swings so that it starts out zany and winds down to a wistful note. The latter, fraught with the realizations that have come out of this family reunion, even border on the depressing." Unquote. On November 3, 1995, master film critic Roger Ebert gave this film 3.5 stars. But in his review, he never really said why he liked the film so much. I find myself feeling the same way. I loved this movie in the late 90s when I first saw it. Now, almost a quarter century later, I think they made it seem so hard to spend time with family. Just gut it out for a couple of days and be kind to the old folks. Ebert said, quote, "Holly Hunter is a wonderful actress. In Home for the Holidays, she reacts and witnesses as much as she initiates. It's not hard to guess that with her stature and presence, she represents, to some degree, Jodie Foster. Indeed, there are probably autobiographical elements scattered here and there throughout the cast, but that's not the point. What Foster and Richter have created here is a film that understands the reality expressed by Robert Frost when he wrote, 'Home is a place where when you have to go there, they have to take you in.'" Unquote. Actors.
Right, and I'm a Shakespearean actor.
Robert Downey Jr. played zany gay brother Tommy. He was over the top in this role, and I will talk about that a bit in the summary. Downey was first covered in Back to School 1986. Holly Hunter played 40-ish, lovable loser Claudia Larson. Hunter was born in Georgia in 1958. She began acting on stage at an early age. In 1976, she attended Carnegie Mellon University, graduating in 1980. Hunter moved to New York, and it wasn't long until she was acting in plays. She moved to Los Angeles in 1982. She became a major star when she was in the Coen Brothers directed Raising Arizona 1987. That same year, she scored another major hit with Broadcast News 1987. Hunter made a nice rom-com, Always 1989, that was a remake of A Guy Called Joe 1943. She won an Oscar for Best Actress for her role in The Piano 1993. She was also the sexy secretary in The Firm 1993 and the lead in Home for the Holidays 1995. Hunter was fantastic as a determined woman in Oh Brother Where Art Thou 2000. She was equally good as the voice of Helen Parr / Elastigirl in The Incredibles 2004. Hunter is still very active. Anne Bancroft played the mother, Adele. Bancroft was born in New York City in 1931.
I'm walking here! I'm walking here!
This marvelous actress began working on television in 1951. Her first film role was in the film noir Don't Bother to Knock 1952. She continued to work in films such as Gorilla at Large 1954, Demetrius and the Gladiator 1954, film noir New York Confidential 1955, and The Girl in Black Stockings 1957. Bancroft took 5 years off from film to work on Broadway. She returned to movies with The Miracle Worker 1962. This role won her a Best Actress Oscar. Her Oscar win set her on a path for solid movies that include The Pumpkin Eater 1964, The Slender Thread 1965, The Graduate 1967, where she played the sexy Mrs. Robinson and where she was nominated for another Best Actress Oscar, Young Winston 1972, The Prisoner of Second Avenue 1975, Silent Movie 1976, Lipstick 1976, The Elephant Man 1980, To Be or Not to Be 1983, which is pretty funny, 84 Charing Cross Road 1987, very good film, Honeymoon in Vegas 1992, Point of No Return 1993, Home for the Holidays 1995, G.I. Jane 1997 as a stinker, Great Expectations 1998, and Up at the Villa 2000. Bancroft died at the age of 73 in 2005. She was survived by her husband of 41 years, director and funny man Mel Brooks. Charles Durning played the father, Henry. I've always liked this actor. It is amazing to me that someone that large can move so gracefully. Durning was born in 1923 in upstate New York. He was drafted into the Army at the age of 20. Assigned to the 1st Infantry Division, the Big Red One, he was in the first wave landing on the beaches on D-Day, June 6, 1944. After 6 months of recovery from wounds, he made it back in the line in time for the Battle of the Bulge. He was awarded the Bronze and Silver Stars, as well as receiving 3 Purple Hearts. Following the war, Durning became a professional ballroom dancer while he worked to become an actor. In 1951, he started working on stage and found success there. By the 1960s, he was working in television and films. His first role was in 1962, but his first credited role was in Harvey Middleman, Fireman, 1965. Durning became a great character actor, and his films include I Walk the Line, 1970, The Sting, 1973 as a corrupt cop, The Front Page, 1974, Dog Day Afternoon, 1975, The Choir Boys, 1977 as Sperm Whale Waylon, The Muppet Movie 1979, North Dallas 40 1979, The Final Countdown 1980 as a pompous senator, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas 1982, where he was nominated for a Best Supporting Actor Oscar, Tootsie 1982 as a straight man in love with Tootsie, Dustin Hoffman in drag, Two of a Kind 1983, a nice rom-com, To Be or Not to Be 1983, Home for the Holidays, 1995, and Oh Brother Where Art Thou, 2000. He also had a recurring role on Burt Reynolds' television show Evening Shade, 1990 to 1994. Durning died in 2012 at the age of 89 and is buried in Arlington National Cemetery. Dylan McDermott played mystery guest Leo Fish. McDermott was born in Connecticut in 1961. In 1967, his mother was murdered, presumably by her boyfriend. His father remarried when he was 15. His stepmother, playwright and activist Eve Ensler, later encouraged the handsome young man to attend Fordham University and acting school. McDermott started his career in a big way. He starred as the main character in Hamburger Hill, 1987, a gritty, up-close Vietnam film. Other films include Steel Magnolias, 1989, In the Line of Fire, 1993, Miracle on 34th Street, 1994, not the best version, Home for the Holidays, 1995, Wonderland, 2003, The Messengers, 2007, Burning Palms, 2010, The Campaign, 2012, where he played a sleazy political consultant, the indie film The Perks of Being a Wallflower, 2012, and blockbuster Olympus Has Fallen 2013. McDermott led the long-running television series The Practice 1997 to 2004. He has appeared in 2 TNT movies and was on American Horror Story in 2011. He also remains active on the stage. Geraldine Chaplin played the role of Aunt Gladdy. Chaplin has 162 film and television credits, and she was totally off my radar. She was hilarious in this film. Chaplin is the daughter of the famous actor Charlie Chaplin, and playwright Eugene O'Neill is her grandfather. She attended the Royal Ballet Academy in London, and her dancing led to her first significant role in Dr. Zhivago 1965. She is still active. Interestingly, Robert Downey Jr. played her father in Chaplin 1992. Claire Danes played the 16-year-old daughter of Claudia, Kit. Danes was born in New York City in 1979.
I'm walking here! I'm walking here!
She received extensive education at Dalton School, the New York City Lab School for Collaborative Studies, the Professional Performing Arts School, Lycée Français de Los Angeles, and 2 years at Yale University. Danes began working on television in 1990. She played Beth in Little Women in 1994 before landing a television series, My So-Called Life, 1994-95. She was in small film roles like Home for the Holidays, 1995, and To Jillian on Her 37th Birthday, 1996. She had a big hit with Romeo and Juliet, 1996. She continued with films like Les Miserables, 1998, The Utterly Terrible, The Mod Squad, 1999, Broke Down Palace, 1999, and Terminator 3, Rise of the Machine, 2003. The HBO movie Temple Grandin, 2010 was well received, but her top success has been on Showtime's Homeland, 2011 to 2020. Story.
Let me explain. No, there is too much. Let me sum up.
Claudia Larson, Holly Hunter, is doing detailed painting restoration in a Chicago museum. She is nursing a head cold. Her supervisor, Peter, Austin Pendleton, calls her to his office. He mentions that she is leaving early to visit her parents' home for Thanksgiving. She is delighted with her work, and Peter drops the bomb on her that she is fired due to budget cuts.
You're fired, Claudia. I have to.
Oh?
We lost 90% of our federal money. You are my youngest.
Me? Josh is 31. Rose.
They're
what
just
is Rose?
assistants, and they'll be gone too. In 6 months.
She hugs Peter, and then they kiss. It ends awkwardly. Claudia picks up her 16-year-old daughter, Kit, Claire Danes. Kit drives her to the airport even though Claudia doesn't like to fly. Kit tells her mom to float like the fish they saw when they were snorkeling. As Kit leaves, she informs her mother that she has decided to have sex with her boyfriend over the holiday. Claudia sad sacks through the airport as people have out-of-touch calls with their parents. She loses her warm coat before boarding the plane. While on the plane, she leaves a crying message for her brother Tommy, Robert Downey Jr., detailing all of her problems.
I really wish you were going to be there, kiddo, because I am sick as a dog. And I made out with my boss, and Kit's going to have sex with a teenager. And then I got fired, or the other way around, whatever. Oh my God.
When Claudia lands in Baltimore, her mother Adele, Anne Bancroft, and her father Henry, Charles Durning, are at the gate videotaping her arrival. Her mother has brought her a coat in case she has lost hers. The parents are both surprised that Kit is not coming. Claudia takes the horrible pink coat from her mother. In the car, Adele smokes and chatters incessantly. Henry is in his own world and Claudia is suffering. She sees others suffering in cars with their parents. At the house, Claudia is worried that her parents are too active. Adele complains about her other daughter, Joanne, Cynthia Stevenson, being too organized. Adele can see through the firing of Claudia. Of course, Adele thinks Claudia is wasting her talent. Henry kisses and dances with Adele randomly. Claudia goes to her room to smoke a joint. Before long, both her parents enter the room and are talking to her. Adele does a Mrs. Robinson undressing in front of her daughter as she talks about a Dear Abby letter. Sometime in the night, Tommy and his friend Leo Fish, Dylan McDermott, arrive at the house. Tommy uses night vision goggles to sneak into the house and wakes his sister by taking pictures of her in her underwear. Not creepy, just a different sense of humor. Henry runs out with a bat and almost hits Leo. Tommy says he has not checked his messages. Claudia asks Tom about his partner Jack, and she wonders why Leo is there. As Claudia showers, her mother denies that the two guys are gay. Tommy pops in and takes a Polaroid of her. Adele sends Leo, Tommy, and Claudia to get some food. The Thanksgiving Day parade slows them. The three get into the car to head back. Tommy is being a jackass. Claudia gets mad and gets out to walk. Tommy speeds away every time she tries to get into the car. The high school homecoming queen and her guy stop by. Claudia is embarrassed by the coat and really her whole life and family. Leo comes back and saves Claudia. She is hostile to Leo when he makes a small pass at her. Eventually they make it to Aunt Gladys, Geraldine Chaplin's home. She is the sister of Adele, and shall we say she is somewhat eccentric. When they get in the car, Gladys passes gas. When they get back to the house, Gladys finds Henry to give him a key lime pie she made. Adele sends Claudia to the furnace room. An old boyfriend of Claudia's, Russell Turzik, David Strayhorn, has been lured to the house on Adele's false pretenses. He's a sad sack and the conversation drags. Tommy and Leo spy on the conversation.
I'm just letting the guys have a day off, so they can visit their families since I'm all alone this year.
This is the saddest sack in the universe.
Yeah, I don't have anybody anymore. My brother and sister got canned and they left town, and then my parents went and died on me.
I'm so sorry. I had no idea.
Yeah, well, it was a car wreck. It was last summer. Drunk driver. He cut right across the, the Meridian. And pow, head on. Yeah. So, like I said, I don't have anybody anymore, really.
Henry plays his organ and Gladys sings. Joanne, her husband Walter, Steve Guttenberg, and their 2 kids arrive. They are shocked that Tommy is there, and before long, Tommy attacks the car.
That's his car. So we'll just do our best to ignore him, Walter. And we'll let him get to us, because that's what he thrives on.
I was told he wouldn't be here, Joanne, so I didn't prepare myself. I have to sit here for a minute and prepare myself.
Mom, this gravy's leaking. If it ruins my dress, I'll just...
What, you'll sue us?
Lock the doors.
Joanne is also shocked that Leo is with Tommy. The males and Gladys are exiled from the kitchen as the meal is prepared. Joanne is freaking out in an OCD way.
Come on, where is everybody? People are starving in the former Yugoslavia.
The entire group sits at the table while Gladys sings the blessing. Henry prays for the old-fashioned pain-in-the-ass traditions.
Give me those old-fashioned pain-in-the-ass traditions like Thanksgiving, which really means something to us, even though, God, we couldn't tell you what it is, are starting to stop. And 1,000-year-old trees are falling over dead, and they shouldn't.
Walter is a jackass. The drunken Gladys says Henry is the best-looking thing on 2 legs. She talks about the first time she met him, saying he looked like a horse in a uniform. Gladys talks about him kissing her one Christmas. She continues that Henry made all her dreams come true for her sister.
You're the best thing on 2 legs, Henry Larson. I can still taste the salt on his lips. Those soft, soft lips. And that tickly little little mustache. I can still feel it 43 years later. And whenever I look at your father, I know how lucky my sister must be. Because he made all my dreams come true for her. I was a Latin teacher.
Ouch. Walter starts in with a sound fundamentals banking argument. Tommy accidentally flips the turkey into Joanne's lap. She melts down. Joanne calls Tommy a pervert and outs him to his family for getting married to Jack.
Congratulations, honey. Yeah, may you and your husband live happily ever after, Mrs. Gordon. Or whatever the Christ you call yourself now, or he does. Did you wear a dress? Did you wear a white veil or a blue garter belt?
Tommy, come on. Did you wear a dress?
No.
It is at this point Claudia finds out that Leo is only a co-worker of Tommy's. Tommy had checked his messages, and he tells the family all the troubles in Claudia's life with her permission. Gladys gets up singing to Henry. Adele runs into the kitchen to smoke. Gladys lip locks Henry. Claudia and Tommy calm Adele down. Henry goes to wash Tommy's car while some of the younger men play Nerf football. The ladies are left with cleanup detail. Kit calls to talk to her mother. Adele intercepts the call. Kit tells her mother that she decided not to have sex because Tim is being a jerk. Walter and Tommy get in a fight in the front yard, but Leo gets punched in the nose when he tries to break it up. Henry hoses the fighters down as Joanne drags her family away.
Hey, it's okay. Go back to all your own goddamn holidays.
Jack calls for Tommy, and Henry congratulates him on the wedding. Leo sings duets with Gladys. Claudia and Leo have to take Gladys home and drop the Tupperware at Joanne's house. Leo says he came to Thanksgiving because he saw a picture of Claudia. Claudia realizes that she was naked in the photograph he saw. They kiss at the door of Walter and Joanne and are busted. Joanne is in the basement working out to get rid of the stress. Claudia goes for peace, but Joanne is not having it. Joanne is frustrated by having to take care of her parents on a daily basis.
I'm not perfect. Look, I said I was sorry.
Well, that's great. If I just met you on the street, if you gave me your phone number, I'd throw it away.
We don't have to like each other, Joe. We're family.
Leo confesses he doesn't get along with his family either. They go back to the house and raid the refrigerator. After the meal, they are getting along very well.
What if my parents catch us?
No TV for a week.
That wasn't me.
I'm sorry I tried. I honest to God tried. I'm sleeping here. Come on, you're supposed to be on the couch. I'm sleeping here.
Tommy is sleeping on the floor and stops their little adventure. Leo follows her up to her room. Claudia is scared to start a relationship. Tommy and Leo leave before sunrise because they have a business meeting. Claudia wakes up to see them go. Henry is in the basement watching home movies. Claudia and Henry have a nice talk. He reminds her that she was fearless when he took the family to the airport runway.
And when that sucker takes off, there you are holding on to no one. Eyes wide open, just like your dad. You were fearless, huh? Great moment of my life. 1969. 10 seconds tops.
The parents drive Claudia to the airport and she comments that she let him get away. They have a tearful and loving goodbye at the airport. The airplane is COVID-19 empty when Leo gets on with the lamp that Gladys gave him. He says they will know by the end of the flight if they will be a couple.
Maybe we just land in Chicago and I'll hop the next flight back to wherever I came from. We just wave goodbye and we'll never have to see each other again.
Well, what's the point?
Well, there is no point. Except, if we get hit by a bus someday, at least we'll know we had those 2 hours together. And we won't have to wonder.
And we won't even take pictures.
So no one will ever be the wiser.
Except us.
Except us.
Well, what if...
It ends with the young family's home movies on the airport runway, a young Henry and Adele, Tommy and Jack, Joanne and Walter being happy, the experience Claudia and Kit had snorkeling, Henry and Gladys dancing and kissing, and finally Leo and Claudia on the plane. I'll be right back with conclusions in the world-famous short summary following a word from our sponsors. Summary. This movie was just before Robert Downey Jr. started to get into trouble with drugs. Watching this movie today, it sure reminds me of a Robin Williams cocaine-fueled ad-lib session. I have zero evidence of this. It's only a feeling. IMDb.com says Robert Downey admitted to using heroin during the making of this film. After the film, he was warned it could not continue by director Jodie Foster. This movie was a reunion for a lot of the actors. Anne Bancroft and Claire Danes played grandmother and granddaughter in How to Make an American Quilt, 1995. Charles Durning and Anne Bancroft were together in To Be or Not to Be, 1983. Steve Guttenberg and Austin Pendleton had worked together in Short Circuit, 1986. World famous short summary: Can't choose your family. I hope you enjoyed today's show. You can find connections to social media and email on the site at classicmovierev.com or in the podcast show notes. You can also find links to merchandise, and we have some nice t-shirts. If you enjoyed this show, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you've already subscribed, you can tell a friend, colleague, or family member about the show, or leave a review at Apple Podcast. It really helps the show get found. If you want to comment, suggest a movie, or help out, contact me by email at jec@classicmovierev.com. Beware the Moors.